Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I want to talk to you guys about the company SlideFire. Okay, SlideFire is the company that made and sold the bump stock that has now been banned by the ATF. Okay, and they did that administratively. It didn't go through Congress, and even if it did go through Congress, it still would have been unconstitutional because the right to bear arms, arms is short for armaments, and that not only includes the guns, but it also includes ammunition and gun accessories, right? That's why the founding fathers said the right to bear arms. They picked the most broad term possible to include as many things as possible, okay? But that's not what I really want to discuss here. I wanted to discuss the mistake that SlideFire made, and basically the purpose of discussing it and putting this information out there is so that other companies in the future don't make the same mistake. And the mistake that they made was trying to sell the bump stock for close to $200. Okay, now it doesn't make sense because this here's a standard collapsible stock that you can buy anywhere between $10 and $20. Okay, and if you buy the more the more expensive Magpul stocks, right, that comes with the QD mounts, that's going to cost you a whole $50. Okay. And arguably this should be more expensive than a bump stock because this has some moving parts in there. It's got a spring in there. It's got, it's got more things. And if there's any question as to what the bump stock, would cost and how much they should have been selling it for, a magazine, right, a standard 30-round magazine that you can buy for about, for less than $10, right? These are way more complicated. Than a bump stock. They got a spring inside. They have different parts. They got the follower, and this one, it's got the anti-tilt. So this is way more complicated in design than a bump stock. Okay, which is basically just a piece of plastic. It's basically, a stock like this, right? That just has a piece of plastic that sticks out and kind of halfway covers the trigger. And you can pretty much modify this to become a bump stock if you wanted to, just by, crazy gluing a piece of plastic off of this thing, over the trigger. But that's not the point of this video. The focus of this video is the mistake that SlideFire made, and what we want to do is we want to discuss it and we want to put this information out there so other companies don't make the same mistake. Because by SlideFire trying to sell their bump stocks for $200 each, what they did is they didn't sell enough of them. Okay, at best maybe they sold 500,000 of them. If they had been selling them for, let's say, $30 a piece, they would have sold millions upon millions upon millions of them. So many of them that the idea of banning them would have been ridiculous. It would have been as ridiculous as trying to ban these magazines, or this standard collapsible stock. Okay? There's simply so many of these out there that trying to ban them is just unrealistic. Okay, so that's the mistake that SlideFire made. They were trying to sell it so much, they were so expensive. They weren't thinking ahead. They really didn't consider the Heller and the McDonald decision. And one of the key things that came out of that is that commonly owned firearms cannot be banned. Okay, that's one of the key points. And although that doesn't give us a specific number of how much of a product has to be put into circulation, more is better. Okay, the more you have of your product out there in circulation, the harder it is for it to be banned. Okay, so that's a terrible mistake that SlideFire made, and basically it's going to put them out of business. It probably has put them out of business already. Okay. And I want to contrast that to, for example, let's say Palmetto State Armory. I typically lately I've been buying my ammunition from Palmetto State. I buy 1,000 rounds at a time, and basically, you buy 1,000 rounds, and they give you 10 free magazines. Okay, you get 10 free magazines, and the total cost for that, 1,000 rounds plus plus 10 free magazines is about $340. Okay, and I've looked up the price. If you were to buy the 1,000 rounds by itself, it's going to cost you about $300. So you're only paying an extra $40 to get 10 of these magazines. Okay, And the result of that is that, you know what, if I'm going to buy 1,000 rounds, you know, why not pay that extra $40 and get the extra 10 free magazines? It doesn't make a difference. I already got 100 of these, right? Because, you know, magazines in particular, it's a disposable item. This is something that will wear over time. You know, the more you use it, you know, if you're dropping these, if you're using these the way you're supposed to be using these, they will wear out. You know, so and what I try to do is I select, you know, I have a couple of them, like for example, these guys over here. I have them marked. So these are the magazines that I'm usually dropping, you know, when I'm doing my drills. This way I'm always dropping the same magazines, so I'm not just destroying all my magazines. But the point of this video is that, you know, if we want to preserve a right, all right, if we want to preserve anything, we have to make it as widely available as possible, okay? You know, and you know, Palmetto's doing that with the ammunition. They're doing that with the magazines. They're doing that with the AR-15s. I mean, I just bought, I think it was last month and a half ago, I bought a complete AR for $350. And, you know, I own many ARs. I mean, I can look at it, I can take it apart, and I can tell what the quality is. And basically, I can tell you that the Palmetto AR-15 is pretty much just as good as my Colt, okay? You know, it's a heavy, you know, it's got a nice thick barrel. You know, it's a solid gun. It shoots, you know, with a red dot. At 100 yards, I shoot, you know, 3 inches or better. So it's a very good gun. So you know, here's an example of two companies side by side, and you can see which one is succeeding and which one is going out of business. Okay, Slidefire is going out of business because they tried to sell their product for as much money as possible, rather than thinking about wide circulation. Okay, Palmetto, on the other hand, is doing very well because they're selling their products as cheap as possible, and they're getting that wide circulation. Okay, so that's the lesson to be learned here. You know, don't be like Slidefire. Okay, don't make that mistake. Get your product out there, get it circulated as widely as possible, get it into the hands of as many people as possible. You know, and that is what's going to you know, help preserve it. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you guys next time.